again and welcome to another episode of I Want to Talk About This Album. And today I'm going to talk again about Ted Nugent. I never thought I would give this guy 1 second of my time or 1 cent of my money, although I think he never got any of my money because all of the Ted Nugent records that I have, which I think is 3 or 4, I bought secondhand. So Ted Nugent didn't get any of my money, but I did Weekend Warriors 3 or 4 months ago, 5 months ago, I'm not sure when, some time ago. Today I'm going to do Intensities, the very cleverly titled Intensities, and I've got at least 1 more, maybe 2 more. I guess I'll get to those at some point. All those I bought used. Now the reason, two things about this record. The track by track is going to be maybe my laziest ever, and I think my clothing is kind of putting me in the mood to be kind of lazy today to talk about this one, because I don't have too much to say. This preamble, as is often the case, is actually going to be longer than the talking about the track by track of the songs on the album. So I got the 2 things I was going to say about this. 1, why I got it, and then 2, why I chose today to talk about it. I got this a year ago, maybe more than a year ago, at El Chopo, at what I thought at the time was a recommendation by Jason McMaster from Dangerous Toys and Broken Teeth and Godzilla Motor Company and Igniter. He had told me that, because I said something about Ted Nugent, that I really didn't like Ted Nugent, and he said, yeah, he was kind of the same, but he said, you got to get this live album, and he said the name of it, and I thought, okay, I know that album title, so maybe I'll get it sometime. And then sometime later, this was probably a couple of years ago, and then I saw this Intensities at El Chopo, and it was quite cheap. It was 100 pesos maybe, which is about as cheap as you'll ever get at El Chopo. I thought, yeah, it's cheap, and it came highly recommended from a good source. I thought I'll get it. Well, it turns out that I realized after that Jason was not recommending Intensities. He was actually recommending Double Live Gonzo. It was that. I went back and he said, yeah, I recommend Double Live Gonzo. So I missed on Double Live Gonzo, but I did get Intensities. So I kind of bought it by a mistake. But I thought, I don't care. It's a cheap record, and it's always good to have, I guess, 1 more album. Nothing wrong with that. So I got this then. Now the reason why I'm doing it today, as I mentioned this several times, I listen to a lot of my music, randomly. That is to say, I have around 10,000, I think it's over 11,000 songs now on my phone. And often I just listen to them randomly. Sometimes I just like to lie in bed listening to music. Sometimes in the car. Sometimes I put music on in the stereo while I'm doing things around the housework. And, certain songs come on. And maybe last week sometime, a song from this record came on. And it really caught my attention. It took me by surprise. And there's a story behind that song. That's the song that I'll probably spend most time talking about today. You'll see when I get to that what song it is that kind of inspired me or motivated me finally to talk about this record, Intensities today. So now this is one of the rare, very, very rare albums that I got, or that I've talked about in doing these episodes, that I researched before. I've always said that, I don't really like reading Wikipedia and then just, saying things I read on Wikipedia. But I did today, or for this record that I'm doing today, because I wasn't sure about it. So I did want to look up something about it. So I did my research, which I guess, or some people, they love to say due diligence. I did my due diligence, which sounds very scholarly and, it sounds like legalese. But it's really, all they did was Google something or went on Wikipedia. So I did that for Intensities. And because when I looked at the track listing, I realized I don't know any of these songs. There was no, and this came out in 81, I think, 80 or 81? 81 it came out, so I guess it was probably recorded live. And did I mention it's a live record? You probably know that. It came out in 81, so I guess it was recorded in 1980. And I was looking through these song titles and I thought, I don't know anything from this album. Why is it a live album? And so I investigated. I did my due diligence. I researched it. I pretended I was Aaron Rodgers and I researched it. And what I discovered was, and this is a really, really cool thing, I think, None of the songs on this record were studio songs. These were all new songs that he had been doing on the previous tour, the tour before this album. And there were a bunch of songs. I think what I read on Wikipedia, that's my due diligence and my research is Wikipedia. He did like 20 new songs on that tour that he hadn't recorded yet, but he just had them in the can or in the hopper ready to go, and he played them. And they picked 10 songs, and apparently these were the 10 songs on this record. The 10 intensities in the 10 cities were the last songs of the tour, the last 10 dates of the tour, and they recorded them and put this out. I think that's really cool. I think that would be cool if bands did that now. That was then and now, I think, a pretty unique thing to do. And as far as I know, again, by my research and due diligence, these songs were never re-recorded in the studio. And I'm far from a Ted Nugent fan, or I'm not knowledgeable about Ted Nugent. But as far as I could tell, and I did like this much research, or maybe this much due diligence, he never recorded these in the studio and then put them on a later record. So the only versions are on this record. Intensities in 10 cities. And now that I've got all that out of the way, I will go to the track by track. And remember, there is a song on here that really caught my attention, that got me to talk about it, which I will mention. And of course, I had to take notes today. I listened to it twice today, as I typically do, always at least once, but sometimes multiple times. And so I do have to refer to notes. There's really not much to say about this record. That's not to say that it's bad. There's nothing. My overall thoughts on this record is there's nothing. It's fine, I guess. It's okay. There's nothing that really stood out where I thought, oh, that's a great song. I love it. I got to listen to it again. But there's also nothing like, in the last episode I talked about Judas Priest. They had this song called Untied. There's nothing nearly as bad as that. So I guess this record has that going for it. I think this, the record, it sounds pretty natural. I don't know how much doctoring there was on this record, but to me it sounds pretty live. And I don't know, I need to do more research and more due diligence. All right. So the first song is and these are very cliche. I almost could have predicted that these were, at least some of them, Ted Nugent song titles. They're very hard rock, very cliche. The first song is Put Up or Shut Up. On one last thing about this record before I get to the track by track, I've talked many times about how I don't really like live records that don't feel like a full concert. Judas Priest Unleashed in the East was like that. Motorhead No Sleep Till Hammersmith was like that. Now this obviously is not a full live album from a full show because it's just taken one song from each city. I have no problem with that. So to me it's almost like a compilation album rather than a live album. So there's no flow to it like a concert. So the first one is Put Up or Shut Up. I have no idea where in the set he played this. It definitely wasn't the opening song, but it's the opener to this album, and it's an up-tempo, what you would expect. My dog is going to explode in barking any second. Wait for it. No, he must be. There he goes. All right. So it's what you would expect from a hard rock record, a live record at this time. It's an up-tempo, hard rock song. It's pretty good. Nothing much to say about it. Next is Spontaneous Combustion. I thought the opening riff to this, or the main riff of this, could be like 70s Judas Priest. It just sounded like it had that kind of sound or that style of 70s Judas Priest, particularly. And maybe it reminded me a little bit of Hellbent for Leather. Good song. I like that one. Nothing special, but it was fine. Better than Untied by Judas Priest on British Steel. Next is the very subtly titled My Love Is Like a Tire Iron. This is a very fast song, very up-tempo, fast, and I thought it was okay. It's a pretty good hard rock song. I don't have too much to say about these songs, except for this next one. I do have something to say about this next one. This is not the one that inspired me to do this record, but this one and another, and I'll talk a little bit more about. This next song is called Jailbait. All right. Now, Motorhead has a song also called Jailbait, and Kiss has a song called Christine 16. And these are songs about young girls, I guess. Now, Christine 16, she was 16. in Motorhead's version, or it's not a different version, but same title, Jailbait. There was no predetermined age or age mentioned in Motorhead Jailbait. And I love both those songs. Christine 16, I've said, is possibly my favorite Kiss song ever in their entire catalog. Motorhead Jailbait from Ace of Spades. It's not my favorite, not even close to my favorite, but I do like it. I don't even dare to ask your age. It's enough to know you're here backstage. Your Jailbait, baby, get down. This one, Jailbait, is Ted Nugent's Jailbait, is a little bit more, or maybe a lot more upfront. And I wrote down a few of the lyrics here, which were, I don't care if you're just 13, you look too good to be true. I just know that you're probably clean. There's one little thing I got to do to you. Now remember, he's talking about a 13-year-old girl, not at least Christine. She was 16 years old. The unnamed girl in this song, she was only 13. And then at the end, in very, very Ted Nugent fashion, he says, "Wait a minute, officer. Don't put those handcuffs on me. Put them on her, and I'll share her with you, or I'll share with you." Now, having said all that, this is my favorite song on this record so far of the 4 songs. I do like it. Now, a lot of people, they like to be kind of righteous and holier than thou maybe, and denounce Ted Nugent or Kiss or Motorhead. Although Motorhead, I think, doesn't get the flack that Kiss gets for sure. I guess Gene Simmons and Ted Nugent are considered more lecherous than Lemmy, so they were held to a higher standard. But at the time, I don't know if anybody really cared about Christine 16 or Motorhead Jailbait, which came out around the same time, 1980, or Ted Nugent. But now, people love to be, there's nothing more people love than to be indignant. Is it indignant or indigenous? I think it's indignant. They like to be outraged at things. I'm sure a lot of people now, if Ted Nugent was a household name, kind of like Kiss is, people would be much more outraged. As it is, I guess Ted Nugent never made it that big enough that people would talk too much about him, at least particularly about this song. But I know a lot of people do have a problem with Ted Nugent, hard rock fans, because of this song. And I wonder if they had the same feeling in 1980 or 81 when this came out. Now, one thing about this song, one last thing I will say about this song, it's funny that Ted Nugent, and I said before when I did Weekend Warriors, I used to think Ted Nugent's music sucked when I was a kid, or I just didn't care about it. Personally, I think Ted Nugent is a fucking moron. It just, everything he says, even when he says something that I agree with, he just says it in a way that's very objectionable. So I don't like Ted Nugent, but it's funny that he, I guess, is seen by a certain group of people as this, savior of family values in the United States, and that he represents morals and everything, and he's this guy that people should be looked up to. And he was singing about fucking 13-year-old girls, I guess. So it's kind of funny. But I like Jailbait. Having said all that, I think Jailbait is a pretty good song. Next, and now you can all be outraged at me for saying that. The 14 people that watch this, including Mike Pratt. I think Mike Pratt would think higher of me than that. Next, number 5. Continuing the theme. God, this has got just vibes all over. The next song is called I Am a Predator. So we had Jailbait, about a 13-year-old girl, followed by a song called I Am a Predator. It's a very, very meathead song, but I did like it. That one and Jailbait for me are maybe my 2 favorites so far. I Am a Predator. Oof. Next is Heads Will Roll, very fast too, and it's okay. Nothing too much to say about that. 7 is The Flying Lip Lock, another strange title, along with My Love Is Like a Tire Iron. Flying Lip Lock, this song was okay too, kind of a very fast also, but more like a boogie style rather than fast hard rock. Maybe like a faster ZZ Top kind of vibe to that one. It's okay, pretty good song. Next is Land of a Thousand Dances. Now, this is the one that inspired me finally to talk about this record after getting it a year ago, whenever it was. Because this is the one, I was in the shower a couple days ago, and the song came on, and I heard na 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 na, And I thought, man, what is this? Now, in 1980, probably 1985, I used to be a big, huge, massive wrestling fan. I used to love WWF wrestling. And maybe from 1979, I started watching it. And around must have been 85, there was this thing called the wrestling album, or the WWF album, something like that. And it had Junkyard Dog doing Grab Them Cakes, and Jimmy Hart doing Eat Your Heart Out, Rick Springfield, Hulk Hogan, well, he didn't sing it, but his theme song, I'm a Real American, and Hillbilly Jim had a song on there, I don't know, but there was a song on there that was na 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 na, and it was, man, I used to love that video. That video for me at that time, I used to get excited for that just as I would for Lay It Down or Too Young to Fall in Love or any of those videos at that time. And it was all the wrestlers, the WWF wrestlers all together. Jesse the Body Ventura had a line in the song. Me and Gene Okerlund had a line. Who else was in that video? Adrian Adonis, I think. The Rock, the original Rock, Don Morocco was in the video. They all had lines in the video or in the song, I think. Roddy Piper was the one who blew the thing open at the end. He kind of got all hot rod and I've had enough of this and we're not going to do this, and everybody got angry and the video was over. I had no idea that Ted Nugent did that song. Now, going back in my research or my due diligence, I discovered that Land of a Thousand Dances was actually an old song from I don't know if it was the 50s or 60s, and I can't remember now who did it. But so this Ted Nugent's version was a cover of that. And then so the WWF song, which was also called Land of a Thousand Dances, as far as I remember, was, I guess, a different interpretation of that original song. So anyway, the point is, for all these years, what's that? Almost 40 years? I guess it is 40 years now. I thought that WWF song, I thought that was an original WWF composition. And it was not. But so that really caught my attention. I thought, wow, I gotta listen to this song again. So I listened to it, and it's okay. Ted Nugent's version is okay. That na 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 na, that really caught my attention. But overall, the song was it's okay. I like that catchy part, the sing along part. But that song is okay. Next is it's called the TNT Overture. As you'd expect from an overture, it's an instrumental. This is really the first song that I just have no use for. It's kind of a misstep, I think. And I've talked many times about, and there are some exceptions, undoubtedly. But overall, I like lyrics. I don't really care too much for instrumentals. A lot of exceptions. And then the last song is I Take No Prisoners. Again, very Ted Nugent. It's got a wailing opening riff, and it's an okay song. So that's all for the track by track. That's all I have to say about Ted Nugent. Intensities. And I feel like when he or whoever came up with that title at the time in 1981, if that had been now, they would have said, see what I did there? Which is, it's pretty obvious. Yeah, I see what you did there. It's very obvious. Intensities. Very clever, Ted Nugent, or whoever was in charge of marketing at, was he on Columbia Records or Epic? No, I forgot. Yeah, it was Epic Records. I should say this is the Mexican version. How could I forget the Spanish song titles? So Put Up or Shut Up is Aguántate o Cállate. Spontaneous combustion is Combustión Espontánea. My Love is Like a Tire Iron. Mi amor es como una llave de llanta. Ha! That is literal. Jailbait es carnada de prisión. I'm a predator, soy un cazador. That's more like I'm a hunter, I guess. That's why the translations don't always work. Heads will roll. Las cabezas rodarán. The flying lip lock. Los labios voladores. So there's no mention of lips locking. It's more like the flying lips. Los labios voladores. Land of a Thousand Dances is La Tierra de las Mil Danzas. Okay. The TNT Overture is La Obertura TNT. And I Take No Prisoners, No Recibo Prisioneros. So those are all very, very direct translations. And it's, I don't know any of these guys' names. I know I did know Charlie Hoon. Cliff Davies is the drummer. Dave Kiswani is on bass, and Charlie Hoon sang some songs. I'm not sure which ones he sang. But yeah, that's Ted Nugent, Intensities. Let me show. It's in, I guess, decent condition. It's got the lyrics there. It's got Ted in his loincloth there. And it's got that epic, it's like a dark blue label. Yeah. REO Speedwagon. The first one I think of for that is REO Speedwagon. High Fidelity. That's what that reminds me of. So I can put this back. And yeah, so a quick one today, although this probably turned out to be about 20 minutes. That's relatively quick for me. But I'm not sure how much I'm going to listen to it, but kind of cool to hear too. And look at this. The Motor City Madman, they call him. And it's Ted Nugent, Intensities, Intense Cities.